honestly, I could put 6 months into this and it would be immaculate. But I would be homeless. I wasn't taught how to work wood. 1% better every day, every project, every cut. This has been my self-taught mantra. And without the formal credentials of a craftsman from North Bennett Street or that of design from Parsons, I have a secret, well, not so secret now, but a relentless drive in this little shop of mine to find recognition from those I admire. One of the largest fine woodworking publications in the world holds an annual juried exhibition where the best of the best enter their work. I set out to design a piece of furniture and executed a level worthy of the title for the most discerning client I could imagine. My wife who wants a dresser. All right, now that the panels are done, we can begin to build the boxes. A carcass, in wood nerd speak, but unlike most dressers, this carcass is 5 curved boxes joined together along a curve. The backbone to a successful build rides on the precision of this groundwork, and as you're about to see, humidity swings and cupped panels makes this one very tumultuous start on this shark dresser. In fact, my first dresser, one of the very few things I've never built. More on this sharky design in a bit. According to the US Census, the average home takes 7 months to construct. Well, maybe we can look forward to that video on my channel in 20 years. Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss Furniture Maker Builds a House series, coming 2055. I've always been curious what that same time frame and energy looks like when applied to a single piece of furniture. Clicked on the right video, because we're about to find out. One overcomplicated on the inside, simple on the outside, red-headed girlfriend of a project. One thing about leaving panels go unsupported, unclamped, unwrapped for 2 weeks is they're almost never flat when you come back. I wasn't 100% sure until right now that I should have done individual cases. But then I think about it and that would have been a pain in the ass too. I'm working with what I got and I'm doing the best I can with what I've set up for myself here. I don't think it's gonna be bad at all. It's just a pain in the ass to assemble. Okay, let's do it. starting to look pretty cool. There's a lot of things I need to do before I can get this glued up. I want to get all of the interior surfaces sanded, all of the exterior, because I'm not going to be able to get a sander in on this little lip. But the water falling cascade of grain probably would be a good idea if I got hardware in now. I need to get forms made for the doors. I need to get form made for the base. Pretty much the easy part's done, and now we get on to the fun stuff. Now, for those of you who missed the first half of this build where I went into the wave base for the shark dresser, it was a journey all its own, and I will link that at the end of the video for you to roll straight into. So I'm not sure what happened, but this didn't seat and nest quite right with the form. So I've just gone through, splooged some stuff in there, and then taped over this contour. While this dries, let's go ahead and get back to the case and get some dust shelves made. It's been a couple of weeks since I've been into this. It's hard to come in and out of these projects. What I'm working on here is the scaffolding, if you will. It's the dust shelves for which the drawers will ride on. And with a descriptor like scaffolding, you might assume these are pretty important, but really what's important here is that they're smooth and square. And the PantoRouter makes pretty short work of that as a mortiser. These frames also serve double duty in keeping the case square. And to do that, I'm going to be using a sliding dovetail. In addition to additional glue surface area, this also creates a mechanical advantage, holding the case flat with its geometry. Part of the reason why piston fitting a drawer works so well is because it creates a pocket of air that the drawer rides on. Having this much space in the case, I'm just guessing here, but I'm thinking that may dissipate too much of that pocket of air and reduce the effectiveness of the piston. So this step here is just about blocking off the two halves from one another so that the two stacks of drawers act in a system independent of one another. Put it back in. Take it out, put it back in. 5 thousandths at a time. Hand fit, baby. All right, before moving on to the drawers, I'm gonna go ahead and button up the back of the case, then we can flip this thing around and work from the front of it. Y'all know how much I like a tidy backside. Well, one big thing. What's my one big thing that would make me feel like I accomplished something today? Because honestly, these fitment days where everything's just super touchy and finicky and kind of a pain in the ass, they just don't feel like I've gotten a lot done. But I think if I could close in the back, I would feel like it will start to look more like a case and I'll feel sort of more accomplished. For this back panel, there's a few things I could do. I could drop in some plywood, then veneer them. I don't have any veneer sheets that are paperback, which means that I would need to lay up all of the veneer. As much as I love backs, I think there's another thing I could do that'll be also tidy, but not as much labor. That is going to be shiplap, and I can just use scraps. That'll be perfect. So I decided to go with shiplap instead of tongue and groove because I thought it was going to be easier. In retrospect, I think that tongue and groove holds itself together a little better, but I'd just like to put on record that I don't think this was in any way faster than veneering panels, which is why I chose to do it in the first place, like 2 days later. But I think it's going to look really nice. And let's put these in the back of the case and I'll tell you. Some people are cabinet door people. I'm all about the backside. I know some of you are thinking, hey Nick, Why one ash slat? Did I run out of walnut? Nope. I put that in there because there is some OCD person that will see that and it will drive them crazy. And some part of me gets a lot of joy out of that. I am one of those OCD people. I think there's something really cool about introducing entropy into perfection. And there's something about challenging that discomfort that feels like progress. And speaking of OCD perfectionism, let's cut some dovetails. Because this project seemed like it's just going to be way too easy and, one curve wasn't enough, I decided that it needs some more curves. So I am going to have a curve across the front that reads across the entire front of the cabinet. That'll translate into a curved top to the drawer fronts, and also the face of them will be curved. It's tricky. So I'm just using a fairing stick here to mark out the curve on the top of the drawer. I'll cut that out. Then I can use that as a template to cut out the opposite side of the curve in the drawer above. And this will inform my placement for dovetails, because one side gets traditional dovetails, the other side gets a sliding dovetail because it's got a division that it needs to cross. And then the back spanner of the drawer is going to be a sliding dovetail as well. Dovetail, dovetail, dovetail. I can visualize this, I can explain it, but I'm gonna be way more effective if I just show you. Addition of a secondary curve into the face of the cabinet is pretty subtle, but it adds quite a degree of difficulty. The reveal on the dovetails aren't the same, and getting all those subtle curves to line up on the drawer faces gets to be a little finicky. I just needed a shorter track. So I needed a shorter track is because I messed up. Not real bad, but sort of bad. The division for the drawers, I've already made all the drawer parts. I was trying to rush to put this all together. I installed it upside down, and then I epoxied it in place. Oops, wish me luck. Before these are ready for assembly, the inside of the boxes need to be slotted to allow drawer bottoms to slide in. Now on the sides is easy enough, but it's a little bit trickier on the drawer faces as the reference edge is curved. Just want to make sure everything lines up when it's time to put the drawer bottoms in. At this point, the drawers are a pretty snug fit, but before bringing the boxes to final size, I need to make sure the case is in its final resting place. And in order to do that, I need to get it mounted to the base, the wave base, which is also a good excuse to take a break from dovetails, because I can only do so many 12-hour consecutive days cutting tails. Some call it relaxing, I call them stressful.
I'm going to continue to procrastinate on the drawers just because I'm not in a dovetailing mood right now. So I'm going to pull these boxes off. I'm going to trace the front profile so I can build a form to bend the front of the door. I'm going to do them all at once just so I can lay up the veneer all at once, and it should make it a lot easier. And I'm going to lay all four out all at once so I can lay up the veneer all at once. So let's go ahead and grab some MDF and I'll get these lined up and traced out.
I came from the mud, there's dirt on my hands, strong like a tree, there's roots where I stand. Oh, I've been running from the law, hope they won't shoot me down catch me howling at the moon.
All right, here's the concern. I wasn't really stoked on how that new PVA glue stuck the veneer onto the bottom side of the base. I don't know that I want to clean up epoxy and the other stuff's really toxic, but this doesn't quite go around this bend. So I think I want to add that water content to soften these sheets just a little bit and make sure they'll make that turn without breaking.
Not a thing, but a feeling. It's a dresser, so it goes in a bedroom, and what I thought of was calm. When I thought of calm, I thought of waves. When I thought of waves, I thought of sharks. I don't know, that's just how my brain works. And when I thought of sharks, I was like, I don't want a shark in the bedroom. But one shark came to mind, the blue shark. That's sort of a happy shark. I don't know. It's probably just because Finding Nemo had a bigger influence on my childhood than I'd like to admit. But I really liked the delineation between the bright blue fusiform shape of the shark and its white underbelly. And that's where the second curve came from. You might have noticed this video doesn't have a sponsor, and that's because I'm hoping it's you. By popular demand, my buddy Chris is a well-known graphic designer, and I had him make up a whole line of t-shirts available now at patreon.com. Not your fingers, not your problem.
Holy cow, this is deceiving. Basically done, right? Wrong. This feels like a milestone, like we're just so close I could touch it, but there's so much stuff left to do. It's not a ton of work, but all of the things are very hard to conceptualize. So I'm gonna do just a brief synopsis of stuff that's little fine-tuning things that I'm trying to figure out at this point. The first was that I didn't love the slope here as it transitioned into the doors. So what I've done is I've taken about an 1/8 inch right here off the bottom of this drawer. I've moved this guy up about an 1/8 and changed that like trajectory just a little bit. And then I've attached just a little piece right at the top of this drawer, which we can come back through and trim off now. Here I had a little chunk missing out of the surfboard, and the biggest problem so far is the hinges. I'm just having a really hard time conceptualizing it. I got these are Brusso double offset knife hinges. They are $50 each pair, and I think I got the wrong ones. The next size up, probably the proper size. This whole like setback here really messes things up. And I'm having a hard time visualizing whether if I move those pivot points, do they need to be directly in line or not? That's problem one. Chicken egg, man, chicken egg. So everything about this is just like, what do I do first? What do I do next? At this point, it's all gonna be better than nothing. So let's get going. My favorite part of every project, every cabinet really, is the pulls. But my least favorite part of every cabinet is the pulls. They're just so critical. It makes or breaks a piece. If you put a knob on the front of it, something just screams kitchen cabinet to me. Got an idea. I just don't know if it's gonna work. My idea, I can't really cut into the face of this all the way across. It needs to sort of blend into this curve that we've already got going. Let me show you what I mean. You can see this curve here. My thought is to taper it out to 0. So it's gonna be very, very small right here and come over, and it'll actually be quite a large cut on the face, and then I'll just cut the veneer and bring it back behind that pull. So I'm gonna figure out how to do that, and yeah, I think it'll actually look pretty nice.
While the drawer face veneers cure in the vacuum bag, let's go ahead and move back to the curved cabinet doors. So the tricky part about getting veneer on the front of these curved faces is that they're now sections, where before they were a singular piece that would go over the form. Especially with the step, I wasn't comfortable that I could get a good veneer press in the vacuum bag. And I'd be lying if I told you I wasn't just a little bit concerned about this method. To be honest, it Could just be my natural aversion to an iron. But since the veneers are supported on all 4 sides, I think I'm going to get away with it this time. The method is pretty easy. Basically, you thin yellow wood glue by 10%, mix it up, smear it around, and blow dry it off. And do that about 4 times. Stick them together and use an iron to reactivate the glue for a moment, long enough to adhere the veneer. Sketchy, right? This isn't a new method, it's just new to me, so time will tell. I'll report back.
So I think at this point the drawers are about 90% done. They need a final fit to get into the space that they fill, but before I do that, I really need to start assembling, get everything glued in place so I've got a solid reference hole. Before assembly, I got these fancy shiny little guys from Brusso. They are the double offset knife hinges and they are very nice, huge pain in the ass. They are a lot easier to install before you're working in a corner, so I'm going to do that. And then we'll move on to the drawers that just came out of the bag. Tomorrow we can do the finishing touches and then we'll get on to finish and it'll be tits. Let's do it.
I hadn't originally intended to make the drawer bottoms out of Macassar ebony, but my clumsy self dropped one of my bending forms on the roll of veneer, and it all sort of broke up. After seeing them, I'm not really mad about it. My boy Bob Ross would call that a happy accident. I did run out of veneer though, so there should and will be a balance veneer on the other side of the drawer bottom. Just haven't gotten there yet.
We should probably put a pole on this top drawer. But first, let's get these drawer slides installed. Just kidding. This isn't a kitchen and I don't build for Walmart. We're gonna piston fit this shit. I tried tweaking and trimming and shaving and chopping and everything I could to make that gap look a little bit better, but it just wasn't happening. So 6 hours and a patch later, I'm happy with the gap. And this is really just a testament to how I start big on everything, and as the project nears completion, so too do those tolerances. Start big, and through iteration of fitment, everything just comes together. At this point, patience is enemy number one. Take it out, shave it, put it back in. Take it out, shave it, put it back in. Take it out, shave it, put it back in. Take it out, shave it, put it back in. A little paraffin melted on the internal components makes these drawers operate smooth like butter. All right, a little more fitment on these doors, then finish, and we're finished. Let's go.
Sides, they go group to group, they won't shoot the shit, ain't got shit to shoot till I go crazy. Go and get the baby shark and hit him with the do-do-do-do-do-do. Damn, big boy, you gotta shoot it with 2 hands.
Airing on the vibe of a dark and moody bedroom and an aim to capture the calm of that sanctuary with a focus on the third dimension, I landed on 2 themes: the calming curves of dark Pacific waves, and when thinking of calling attention to the 3D, I took reference from a shark as the cutbacks and dimensionality in their gills came to mind first. The overall form is roughly that of a fin, with the fusiform shape interrupted by the gilled cutbacks in the case. The color delineation between the upper and lower halves of the piece were inspired by the coloration of a blue shark. The entire 8-foot piece rides a curved and bent laminated rift oak wave. Be sure to check the link in the description to check out all of the new merch. As always, I really appreciate your support, and thank you so much for taking the time to watch. What about the LEDs? I wanna love you every day and every night. We'll be together.
Some people call him the dude.
If you aren't already, I'd love if you considered subscribing. Peace.